What if death wasn't actually the end? Not heaven, not hell, not reincarnation. What if death was simply level 1? Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that every human being on Earth has misunderstood reality. Imagine learning that your entire life, every friendship, every heartbreak, every achievement, every mistake, was only the beginning of something much larger. For your whole life, you've been told that death is the final destination, the finish line, the point where the story ends. But what if it's actually the point where the story starts? Picture yourself living an ordinary day. You wake up, you check your phone, you worry about work, you think about bills, deadlines, responsibilities, and all the countless little problems that seem so important. Then, decades later, after a long life filled with victories and regrets, your final moment arrives. Your heart beats for the last time, the world fades away. Darkness fills your vision, and then, instead of nothing, a message appears. Congratulations, level 1 complete. At first you would probably think it was a dream. Then confusion would set in. Level 1? What does that mean? Was everything before this a test, a tutorial, a preparation for something bigger? Suddenly every assumption you've ever had about existence begins to crumble. The things you spent years worrying about no longer seem important. The embarrassing moments that kept you awake at night become meaningless. The arguments you thought mattered. The people you tried to impress. The status you chased. The possessions you collected. All of it feels strangely small. Imagine playing a video game for the first time. When you're inside the game, every challenge feels important. Every obstacle feels real. Every victory feels significant. But when you finish the tutorial, you realize the game was teaching you skills you'll need later. What if life works the same way? What if this reality is not the destination, but the training ground? What if every challenge you face is designed to teach you something? Think about pain. Nobody likes pain. Nobody asks for suffering. Yet some of the most important lessons people learn come from difficult experiences. Failure teaches resilience. Loss teaches gratitude. Heartbreak teaches empathy. Fear teaches courage. Imagine if the purpose of level 1 wasn't to avoid suffering, but to learn from it. Suddenly, every struggle becomes part of a larger story. Every obstacle becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes an opportunity to grow. Maybe that's why humans are so fascinated by stories of transformation. We love characters who start weak and become strong. We admire people who overcome impossible odds. Deep down, we seem to understand that growth only happens through challenge. But here's where the idea becomes even stranger. What if level 2 isn't a reward? What if it's simply a place where the lessons of level 1 become useful? Imagine arriving in a reality where money has no value, fame has no value, physical appearance has no value. Imagine entering a world where the only things that matter are the qualities you developed while you were alive. Kindness, honesty, curiosity, patience, wisdom, courage. Suddenly the entire game changes. The people who spent their lives collecting status symbols discover they collected the wrong currency. The people who spent their lives becoming better human beings discover they've been preparing for this moment all along. It sounds like science fiction, but notice how often human cultures arrive at similar ideas. Ancient religions, philosophical traditions, and spiritual teachings from around the world repeatedly suggest that life is a preparation for something greater. Different cultures describe it differently, but the pattern is remarkably consistent. Why? Perhaps because humans intuitively feel that existence must have a deeper purpose. Or perhaps because the structure of life itself resembles a learning process. Think about childhood. When you're a child, you don't understand why adults make certain decisions. Rules seem arbitrary. Responsibilities seem pointless. Then you grow older and begin to see the larger picture. What if humanity itself is still in its childhood? What if the reality we experience is only a tiny fragment of a much larger existence? The most interesting part of this idea isn't what happens after death, it's what it says about life. If death is level 1, then what are we actually supposed to be doing right now? Most people spend enormous amounts of energy chasing things they believe will make them happy. More money, more success, more attention, more approval. But something strange happens when people finally get those things. The satisfaction rarely lasts. The goalposts move. The hunger returns. Another achievement becomes necessary. Another milestone appears on the horizon. It's almost as if we're searching for something that cannot be found in external rewards. Maybe that's because the real objects